program, home instruction for parents of preschool youngsters, our early Head Start home-based home visiting program, and last but certainly not least, we have our early Head Start center-based program and early Head Start expansion, and also our early Head Start childcare partnership programs. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the 2021-2022 first quarter Data Jam. Woohoo! Today, we will have two sessions. The first session will review aggregated data, or data that has been compiled and summarized and summarizes our progress of the goals set and approved collaboratively by the Policy Council, the SCF Board, and the SCF Management and Leadership teams. Areas are from the annual self-assessment, findings, and our self-assessment improvement plan, our continuation grant application, and the results from our ongoing monitoring. Cindy, can you talk to us about data?
Good morning, Tiffany. I absolutely can. Good morning, everyone. My name is Cindy Gonzalez. I am the Senior Manager of Early Head Start Operations. Before the management team shares their program area updates, I want to take a few minutes to talk to you about the who's, the what's, the why's, the when's, the how's of our data process. There are two reasons that we collect data. The first reason is because the Office of Head Start requires us to. The second, most important reason why we collect data is because data supports us in ensuring we are making progress towards our family and child outcomes, helps us identify trends and areas of opportunity for continuous quality improvement. Using the Parent Family Community Engagement Framework, also known as PFCE, as a guide to ensure we are measuring what matters. The Head Start Parent and Family Community Engagement Framework is a visual tool that program staff, parents, and families can use to build effective partnerships. It describes how programs, parents, families, and communities work together to promote children's healthy development and learning and well-being for all families. In the yellow and red columns represents the program's foundation and impact areas. These are the systems and services and programs that support families and children. They include your program leadership, training for staff, classroom settings, and community partnerships. The blue and the purple represent child and family outcomes. Strong relationships among families, children, and program staff are essential for children and family success. Programs welcome all families, value equity, and respect diverse cultures and languages. Who collects data? Teachers, program educators, program managers, assistant managers, center directors, assistant center directors, coordinators, family advocates, the HR team, program assistants, board of directors, policy council members, parents, guardians. So as you can see, everyone helps to collect data. What type of data do we collect? We collect teacher-child observations, parent-child observations, attendance, incident accident forms, well baby checks, immunizations, daily health checks, daily monitoring forms, indoor and outdoor safety checklists, CACFP monitoring forms, classroom inventory, coaching observations, program-wide data, program-wide assessment information, staff qualifications, COVID-related information, program information report, just to name a few. The types of data we collect in most cases comes in two forms, either qualitative or quantitative. Sometimes it can be both. Qualitative data are used when team members are trying to quantify a problem, measure progress, and address the what and the how many. For example, or some examples of that are attendance records and incident forms. Qualitative data describes qualities or characteristics. This form of data comes from things like parent surveys and parent interviews and teacher-child observations. Whatever the data is we collect, we try and follow the 4R approach. Is it reasonable? Is it respectful? Is it relevant? And is it relationship-based? When do we collect data? We collect data daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annually. Regardless of when we collect the data, the same data cycle process, we follow the same data cycle process: prepare, collect, aggregate, analyze, use, and share. Once we get to the use and share stage, using the 4R approach and the PFC framework, we determine the who and the how. This morning, you are going to hear about our individual program area updates. Remember at the beginning of this, I shared with you all the types of data. Well, one of those types of data we collect is program data. Over the past year, the team went through the data process using information such as self-assessment information, quarterly monitoring data, and established new objectives to help us meet our program's 5-year goals. The program area managers will be sharing this quarter's updates with you related to those goals and objectives. I know that was a lot of information that I just shared with you, but I hope it gives you a better understanding of our data process. The first area we'll be looking at is PIR. Peter, tell us about PIR.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Peter Paragas, and I'm the Data and Quality Improvement Specialist for Sunrise. The next section that we will be discussing is the Program Information Report, or also known as the PIR. The PIR is a document with a collection of data that informs readers about an early Head Start program's change in data and outcomes from the program year. It does not necessarily act as a compliance tool to assess performance standards and adherence to regulations. Instead, its role is to serve an informational role for readers. It is an annual requirement for early Head Start programs that receive funding from the government and is usually submitted at the end of the program year. Early Head Start organizations use applications like Child Plus to gather PIR data through the use of assessments and tracking tools. Organizations use the PIR to provide information to readers from diverse backgrounds like researchers, policymakers, partner companies, and more. By informing and educating readers about organization outcomes, Sunrise can promote the positive aspects of the program and stress the need for additional support or contributions to areas that are not experiencing as much growth. The PIR assists in the development of policies and procedures that early Head Start organizations offer through the use of data as an underlying foundation for action and discussion. An example of this is shown on the right for Sunrise's CH grant, where the PIR lists the number of pregnant mothers receiving services at the time of their child's birth, and the number of mothers that enrolled their child into an SCF program after their birth. Whereas earlier in the document had the cumulative count of women enrolled in a program during their pregnancy, this section contains more specific data that follows up with their program experience and a subsequent decision of whether they decided to enroll their child. The PIR separates topics in the program and disaggregates them throughout the document so that readers can understand specific events that occur and to encourage the use of a cross-check system that validates the numbers reported at the end of the program year. In this case, Sunrise could use PIR information as an opportunity to evaluate its service offerings for supporting pregnant women in Southern Nevada. This data is only one example of the in-depth information that the PIR gives Sunrise access to. PIR data covers a variety of other topics like languages used at home for each child, the number of children that receive transportation help, and each child's primary eligibility status. The PIR gives organizations the opportunity to apply specific interventions for populations in need and introduces innovative approaches to program assistance. Sunrise uses the data to support short and long-term program goals and to guide narrative and discussion in weekly, monthly, and yearly reports. It also helps with informing local leaders and policymakers of community outcomes. This gives the PIR the potential to influence policies like funding for community resources and outreach efforts from locally available programs. By learning more about the PIR, we can start to see how data is essential for organizations like SCF in improving program services, developing community relationships, and advocating for family needs. Our next section is going to talk about in-kind and how its data contributes to the development of Sunrise programming. In-kind acts as a funding feature of early Head Start programs. Each early Head Start program that is federally funded is required to match 20% of the funded money in the form of local contributions and volunteer hours. And the system Sunrise uses to match that is known as in-kind. Sunrise is required to meet 50,000 volunteer hours for in-kind with each program year. In-kind contributions are non-cash gifts given to the early Head Start organization, and they consist of goods and services provided on a volunteer or donation basis. Individuals who can donate consist of parents, consultants, and laborers. This shows how opportunities for in-kind submissions are as diverse as the community involved with the organization. Volunteer opportunities consist of reading a child a book, taking them for a walk, engaging with the Ready Rosie Learning platform, and more. Sunrise uses an online portal to help families in logging in-kind donations so the organization has a constant flow of data. The use of technology and in-person contact make in-kind easily accessible to families. An example of this is seen with the use of tablets at child drop-offs to integrate in-kind tracking into the already established routine of parents. By removing barriers to using in-kind and establishing a schedule of consistent donations, Sunrise can identify trends and patterns in parent engagement and use that data to shape its policies and practices. In-kind entries also have requirements that individuals must meet when submitting a donation so that Sunrise can maintain a level of quality in the data. By increasing family participation with in-kind, Sunrise can gather more data on parent engagement and use that to improve program offerings and opportunities for participation. Sunrise can view data on the types of activities that parents and volunteers participate in and the frequency in which they do those activities. This data is significant because parent engagement is a strong predictor for positive program experiences with a family and the developmental progression for children's health and educational goals. Sunrise is continuously exploring in-kind to understand how it can be used in improving child outcomes, developing systems for community engagement, and enhancing the quality of routine reports in the organization. And now Carla is going to fill us in with what's happening with the ERSI team.
Thank you, Peter. Good morning, everyone. My name is Carla Martinez, and I am the ERSI manager. ERSI is an acronym, and it stands for Eligibility, Recruitment, Selection, Enrollment, and Attendance. So we're going to be looking at Q1 data for ERSI. So in the upper left-hand corner, you have our Q1 enrollment, what it looked like for our Early Head Start center-based program, Early Head Start home-based or home visiting program, the Child Care Partnership sites, EBHV, EHS home visiting, Las Vegas, EBHV HIPPY, SCF HIPPY, SCF Pre-K, and Nevada Ready. So all of those programs. For the beginning of the quarter, we see that Early Head Start center-based had the highest enrollment, and then it began to decrease as Early Head Start's home visiting programs enrollment began to increase. And part of that reason was because families were no longer working or had purpose of care. So they chose to stay enrolled in the program in the home visiting program. Below is our Q1 recruitment effort totals. So the highest the recruitment method that gave us the highest recruitment was our online interest forms. In the first quarter, we received 481 online interest forms. The second is through our digital cluster sheet that is shared amongst team members, where they can enter families' information for us to call. And we had 119 children and pregnant women there. The second is our referrals. So in the first quarter, we received 32 referrals from community partners. And then we participated in 12 recruitment events just in the first quarter. On the right side is the Q1 average daily attendance for our center-based program. The highest had 82.20% average daily attendance in Nevada Ready, and the lowest was for the Child Care Partnership site, which includes the Hills Preschool and Stonebridge Learning Academy. Stonebridge Learning Academy paused on their services, and some of those children paused with attending the center, and then there was transition. So that was part of the reason why that attendance was so low. Below is the Q1 home visits completed, with the highest with SCF HIPPY at 80% and the lowest Las Vegas EBHV HIPPY at 73%. Our goal from the program self-assessment for ERSI was to complete the process of revising attendance policy and procedure and revise and finalize other policies and procedures weekly. And our update on the progress is that we are in the last steps of revising the attendance policy and procedure that includes the state of emergency protocol. Other updates from the goals that were in our grant were that we implemented a referral tracking system through Google with the Title I Hope. So that is a community partner where we receive referrals from, and we've processed 8 referrals year to date. Another update is that we are still in the process of hiring 1 more team member. One of the other goals and updates was that we wanted to increase the number of pre-screening team members on our team to help determine eligibility. Our team consists of 5 qualified pre-screeners. 1 of the 5 was on maternity leave during the first quarter. There are 3 actively training, and 2 of the trainees are in the final steps of training. And the last update is our selection criteria for 22 to 23 program year. It has not yet been presented to the Policy Council for approval just yet. That concludes the data for ERSI. Tell us what's happening in education and coaching, Lourdes.
Lourdes, I think you're muted.
Microphone wasn't coming up. Good morning. My part is education. And for us, our program role is to provide high quality education and services. We are at the moment, give me 1 second. According to the performance standards for Head Start 1302.91, states that the program must ensure that all staff, consultants, and contractors engaged in delivering of program services have sufficient knowledge, training, and experience and competencies to fulfill the roles and responsibilities of their position, and to ensure high quality services delivery in accordance with the program performance standards. Over the last quarter, we had approximately 42 educators and teacher vacancies. Currently, we have 4 parent educators vacancies and 38 teacher vacancies. At this time, out of the 63 team members, 85.96 meet the requirements and 10.53 are in the process of completing their requirement. Sylvia, tell us what's happening in coaching.
Thank you, Lourdes. Hi, everybody. So for coaching, what we did is we had a self-assessment that we provided. What we did is our team members were asked to complete a self-assessment based on the ELOFs, the Early Learning Outcome Frameworks Guiding Principles, which is the foundational piece of the ELOF. We evaluated teachers, parent educators, and family advocates. They were asked to evaluate themselves on the following sections: cultural biases, attitudes, family engagement, environment and materials, and interactions with each child, family, and within the community. Individuals then indicated the level in which they feel they are currently practicing each of those guiding principles, which is the so then they evaluate themselves within the following scores: not yet, somewhat, and consistently. Each assessment was then scored based on their responses following a point system, which included 0 for not yet, 1 for somewhat, and 2 for consistently. The scores were then totaled and averaged for each section to determine staff's overall implementation of the guiding principles. And you'll see that in the charts to the right. So now, Kathy, tell us about individualizing for children.
Thank you, Sylvia. Good morning. I'm Kathy Nickelbein. I am the Child Care Partnership Manager. Well, another one of our objectives to reach our goal is to help us to reach our goal is that 40% of all of our teachers be able to accurately articulate and identify the tools, resources, and supports used to individualize for children by December 2021. During the first quarter education monitoring, we found that 100% of our team members interviewed were able to describe how teachers individualized for children, including those who are not making progress towards school readiness, with answers including parent meetings and home visits, completing a request for internal observation when necessary, scaffolding conversations and activities from children's interests and individual needs, using ASQ Brigant's developmental screenings and assessments, using observations and discussing progress with families, using our individual school readiness learning plan and group learning plans, along with our TSG activities and creative curriculum, as well as its resources, including Mighty Minute cards, intentional teaching cards, hello, goodbyes, and more. We also make sure that our classrooms are warm and inviting and developmentally appropriate for each child to be successful. Now, on to Nicole, who's going to share about our child data outcomes. Nicole, can you tell us about our child data outcomes?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Kathy. My name is Nicole Pobletti, and I am the Education Manager. I will be discussing child data outcomes. The objective is for all children to meet the widely held expectations in the 4 developmental domains: social, emotional, physical, language, and cognitive. During our winter checkpoint period, there is a total of 181 children enrolled for our CH grant. Of that number, we had a total of 167 children who were entered and assessed in teaching strategies goals. Of those children, 105 were center-based and 62 were home-based. The graph shows the average number of all center-based children who are meeting the widely held expectations and are compared from baseline to winter checkpoint period. Excuse me. Due to the number of children fluctuating in the system from one checkpoint period to the other, we would not be able to get the most accurate percentages to compare those meeting or not meeting for this period. That will be broken down later on in the full report. This year, we were able to gather data for our subcategories. Those categories are for foster children, children experiencing homelessness, dual language learners, and children with IFSPs. During our baseline checkpoint period, there was a total of 9 out of the 11 foster children who were enrolled that were assessed. From our winter checkpoint period, we currently have a total of 14 children enrolled. Of that total, 9 were assessed. During our baseline checkpoint period, we had a total of 5 center-based children who are experiencing homelessness that were enrolled. Only 1 child was entered into the system and assessed at that time, giving us a total of 100% of our children experiencing homelessness meeting the widely held expectations. The other 4 children were either dropped per parent's request or had low attendance and were offered other options such as home base. During our winter checkpoint period, we had a total of 2 children who were enrolled. Of those 2 children, both were assessed. During our baseline checkpoint period for our children who are identified as dual language learners, we had a total of 16 children enrolled. Of that 16, 13 children were assessed. We had determined after the checkpoint was finalized that not all children's profiles were accurately showing their primary home language. Prior to the winter checkpoint, we were able to make the adjustments to each child's profile in comparison to what was on their Child Plus enrollment profile, giving us the most accurate data. For our winter checkpoint, we had a total of overall, from both options, 50 children who were enrolled that were identified as dual language learners. Of that total, 15 center-based children were assessed. During our baseline checkpoint, there was a total of 23 center-based children with IFSPs who were assessed. And during our winter checkpoint period, we had a total of 16 children from center-based who were assessed. On to the next slide, Kathy, if you don't mind. I'm going to speak on home-based data. For our home-based, the graphs show the average total number of children who were not meeting and meeting for the winter checkpoint. The difference for the 2 program options is that home-based does not complete a baseline checkpoint due to their home visits beginning 30 days after enrollment. For dual language learners, out of the 50 children that were enrolled, there was a total of 22 children from home base who were assessed. That gives us a total of 37 out of the 50 from both program options who were assessed. The total number of children with IFSPs who were enrolled was 6. Only 3 were assessed. For the total number of children experiencing homelessness, there were a total of 3 enrolled. Out of those 3, not all were assessed in every developmental area. Some were assessed in only 2 out of the 4. And lastly, the total number of foster children enrolled for home base was 3. Of that total, 1 child was assessed. From all the graphs, the numbers are going to fluctuate from one developmental area to the other in comparison, excuse me, to the total number of children enrolled or entered in the TSG system. This fluctuation is due to the fact that not all children have observations entered for every developmental area. When there is less children in TSG compared to the total number of enrollment, oftentimes it is because of excessive absences, children drop or age out of programs prior to a checkpoint period finalizing. Now let's see what Erica has to tell us about health, safety, and nutrition.
Thank you, Nicole. Hi, everyone. I am Erica Hadamiu, the Health and Nutrition Manager. Our program goal is for the program to optimize the health, safety, and well-being of all enrolled children. This year, our objective is to reach 90% of enrolled children who are up to date on immunizations and 80% up to date on EPSDT, which is a schedule of early and periodic screenings, diagnostics, and treatments. At the end of Q1, our immunizations, we have reached 88% up-to-date status, 2% away from our objective. For EPSDT, we have reached 68% up-to-date status, 12% away from our objective. One action we look forward to in the continuation of our program year is holding mobile clinics to increase accessibility to families. From our program self-assessment, our objective is to implement one-on-one health meetings with family service staff to increase communication about children's health status and to implement follow-up meetings for our health and safety internal monitoring process. At the end of Q1, our one-on-one health meetings have shifted to having a health team member being included in ERSI roster meetings. This allows for everyone to hear the same information and to collaborate in getting information shared with families. Also, we successfully implemented the follow-up meetings in our health and safety monitoring. These meetings provided an opportunity to discuss further options to lead to having more permanent fixes to any non-compliant items. Our Q1 health and safety monitoring cycle included monitorings at 7 centers. Through our monitoring, we were able to identify the highest compliance categories as sanitation and hygiene, which include COVID-19 safety protocols at 94% and active supervision procedures at 91%. We were also able to identify categories with the lowest compliance rates as medication at 57%, allergies at 69%, and facilities at 74%. Our quality improvement plan focuses on supporting professional development and program environment in these areas. Through our new follow-up meeting process, we confirmed the status of any non-compliant items. Completion statuses were categorized as resolved or planned to resolve. 100% of items that were marked non-compliant urgent were resolved. 89% of items that were marked non-compliant were resolved, and 11% with a plan to resolve, which just means there was a work order in place. Currently, all non-compliant items have been resolved. In our CACFP, or Child and Adult Care Food Program, we had a total of 12,982 claimed meals during Q1. This was over nearly 63 operating days, which is about 206 claimed meals per day. This is approximately a 75% increase from last year's Q1 numbers. Contributing factors to this include having a greater number of operating days this program year and having more in-person participants, as last year both in-person and virtual services were offered. Sylvia, what's happening in disabilities and mental health?
Thank you, Erica. I'm Sylvia Mireles. I'm the Mental Health and Disabilities Manager. And our program goal for this year, we state we will optimize the health and safety and the well-being of all enrolled children. This year, to meet our goal, our team's objective is to ensure 100% of children enrolled who are eligible for services under IDEA is to, at a minimum, obtain the most current copy of the child's IFSP, IEP, or treatment plan, and complete a special care plan meeting with the parent, guardian, and appropriate staff to review outcomes and provide strategies to teach staff to support individualized learning for each child, both while in the classroom and at home. Cumulatively, for the 21-22 program year, we have had 48 children enrolled with IFSPs or IEPs or a treatment plan, of which disabilities and mental health have completed 35 special care plan meetings for children enrolled with the IFSP or IEP or the treatment plan. We are currently at 77% of our objective, with those who are outstanding due to pending new or updated documentation. In comparison, for the 2021 program year, as a result of COVID, disabilities and mental health completed a cumulative total of 41 special care plan meetings for children enrolled. And that was at 69% of the program goal. And for children with RIOs or that we received requests for internal observation, and they are utilized by our staff to initiate observations by disabilities and mental health for behavioral or developmental concerns that are exhibited by children. It is our goal that we reach 100% of those requests received by disabilities and mental health with appropriate follow-up and in a timely manner. Disabilities and mental health tracks the status and progress of each RIO, ensuring that additional support is provided to both our staff and families. Disabilities and mental health also tracks the area of concern from the RIOs to better understand areas of opportunity in guiding our staff's professional development and well-being. Within this quarter, disabilities and mental health has received a total of 29 RIOs. Danzy, tell us about family services.
Thank you, Sylvia. Hello and good morning, everyone. I am Dency Eusebio, and I'm the Family Services Manager here at Sunrise.
And I'm Gabriel Gomez, and I'm the Assistant Family Services Manager.
During quarter one, Family Services have been working diligently towards our program goals and objectives. Our program goal is that our program will provide quality family and community engagement services that promote family well-being, strengthen parenting, parent-child relationships, and supports family engagement and school readiness. Our Family Service Leadership Team has started our Family Engagement Training Series, where team members retain more information, gain knowledge of the Parent Family Community Engagement Framework and the 7 family outcomes. Our Family Engagement Training Series occurs monthly. However, our leadership team sends resources and handouts that support the monthly topics to the team members weekly. Family Services also conducts midweek huddles and efforts to provide extra support for our staff. As we have been moving towards this family engagement series, our staff's knowledge of each family outcome has increased and therefore have been more intentional when it comes to the goal setting process. As such, our family service workers have been working consistently with their families by identifying goals, determine which family outcome goals established are pertaining to, and giving our staff a deeper scope in understanding the family's dynamics, strengths, and needs. Our data shows that in October, our families who were in a goal setting process started at 33%. Then in November, our families who were in a goal setting process were at 53%. And in December, our families who were in a goal setting process increased to 57%.
During this process, we identified that our staff members did not have a full understanding of our family partnership process and what it entailed. We identified that staff members were not identifying where to indicate the family partnership process on Child Plus platform, and staff members did not have a full understanding of how to document this portion accordingly on Child Plus. As a result of this, we have intentionally worked with the team members to strengthening their knowledge of our family partnership process during the family services meetings. During our meetings, we discuss opportunities to strengthen our process of documenting efforts of improved procedures. As we continue to improve our systems within family services area, team members work hard towards the common goal of providing quality services. This includes our family partnership process, in which we set goals with our families and complete needs, strengths assessments to better support our family goals. Based on the tools to support our assessments, Parent Gauge, we can see an area of opportunity to support families' needs under the topic of family growth and stability, while also focusing on strengths topic of health and nutrition. Family services team members are using this data and have created goals based on families' interests, needs, strengths identified during the family partnership process. Terry, tell us more about what is happening in Hippie home visiting.
Thank you, Dempsey and Gabriel. Good morning, I'm Terry Meehan. I'm the Hippie Program Manager. I join you from my small farm in Peru, so I apologize in advance for any rooster-related interruptions you may hear this morning. Hippie, or Home Instruction for Parents of Preschool Youngsters, serves families of children who are 2 to 5 years of age in Clark and Nye County. SCF Hippie program goals and objectives align with Hippie accreditation standards from benchmarks and evidence-based home visiting, EBHV, which was formerly known as EBV. Evidence-based home visiting objective 11 states that children enrolled in home visiting have a family member who reports that during a typical week, he or she reads, told stories to, or sings songs with their child daily. Our goal is that 100% of Hippie families will achieve this outcome. In Q1, 28% of Hippie families reported reading with their children daily. 100% of enrolled children receive a developmental screening with the validated tool within 30 days of enrollment. In Q1, Hippie enrolled families completed the Ages and Stages questionnaire, also known as the ASQ, with their children. 85% of children completed the ASQ screening. 10% of children enrolled in Hippie have an individualized education plan for a previously identified delay and did not complete the ASQ. 16% of children showed a concerning score in one or more domains, and the domain that showed the most area of concern was fine motor, which is a trend we see nearly every year. Upon rescreen, 55% had improved and no longer showed a concerning score, and therefore a referral was not needed. 3% of Hippie enrolled children received a referral for a potential developmental delay that had not been previously suspected. Evidence-based home visiting objectives 5, 15, and 16 require the Hippie program to support primary caregivers with health and economic self-sufficiency. Primary caregivers are asked quarterly about tobacco use, health insurance, and their education status. Once a need is identified in this area, primary caregivers are offered a referral corresponding with the area of need. 7% of primary caregivers smoke or use tobacco products. 40% of primary caregivers do not have health insurance, and 19% of primary caregivers have less than a high school education. 4% of primary caregivers with an identified need received a referral in Q1. 100% of primary caregivers who have an identified need for economic self-sufficiency or health should receive a referral at the time the need is identified. Further training will be needed for the team in this area. In addition, 1,213 community resources were shared with families during home visits. Team member wellness and support has been an important area of focus this year for the Hippie team. The Hippie team began tracking stress levels in October, with 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. The average stress rating for the Hippie team during Q1 was 2.5 or 2.8 out of 5. Stress factors were identified as frustrations around data entry expectations, stressors in personal lives, and the vaccination requirement by Sunrise Children's Foundation. To support team members, parent educators received an average of 1.5 hours of reflective supervision from a supervisor and 30 minutes of teaching strategies gold sessions from the home visiting coordinator each month. Home visit accreditation standard 1.3 states that the coordinator observes at least 3 home visits each year per parent educator. During home visit observations, parent educators are assessed on 24 objectives that should take place during the home visit. In Q1, 75% of parent educators, 3 out of 4 who were observed, met all objectives met all objectives for accreditation during home visit observations. To receive accreditation from HIPPY, 100% of parent educators will need to meet all objectives for accreditation during home visit observations. The HIPPY team will evaluate the home visit observation data in Q2 and present their analysis and continuous quality improvement plans to the HIPPY Advisory Council on January 18th. I hope that my brief presentation has given you insight into the new and innovative data reporting measures that have been undertaken by the HIPPY program in the past year. Now over to Trina, who will tell us about early Head Start home visiting here at Sunrise Children's Foundation.
Thank you, Terry. Hello, my name is Trina Richardson, and I am the Assistant Family Services Manager for the Early Head Start Evidence-Based Home Visiting Program. Families in the home visiting program receive services in their home through weekly home visits. Home visits focus on parent-child interactions, development-centered parenting, and family well-being. Head Start performance standards require 46 visits per program year. Currently, 12 have been offered for the Early Head Start and 13 for the evidence-based home visiting program. The difference in the number of visits offered is due to an Early Head Start staffing shortage, causing visits to move to a bi-weekly visiting schedule in November. Visits have been virtual and in person during this quarter. Virtual visits are completed via video conferencing and phone calls. We began in-person contactless visits this quarter. They were completed outside of family homes while parent educators and families practice social distancing. In-person visits have decreased due to the weather and safety. Head Start standards state visits are to be scheduled 1 to 2 hours, depending on how many children are enrolled for the family. The average visit time for this quarter has been 50 minutes. Qualitative data based on parents' comments to parent educators reflect that attendance and visit times have been affected by families experiencing technology fatigue. Families report that virtual services are helpful, but not the same as seeing the parent educators in person and socializing with their families in person monthly. Head Start performance standards also require 22 socializations per program year. Socializations provide families an opportunity to meet other families while participating in planned activities that are focused on school readiness goals and support parent-child interactions. Home visiting has had 7 scheduled socializations to date. Home visiting typically holds 2 socializations per month. However, beginning in November, home visiting moved to weekly socializations to stay connected with the parents while the home visiting schedule is bi-weekly. Home visits and socializations have had low attendance. Home base will be offering socializations at various times to increase attendance. As we move into compliance with full person services, a survey will also be sent to families to help determine reasons for decline and the family's preferences. In addition to children ages 0 to 3, home base also provides in-home services to expectant mothers. There have been 4 expectant mothers in the program so far this year. All mothers remained in the program until delivery, and of the 4, 3 have enrolled their children in the home-based program at the age of 2 months, and 1 of the children transferred to the center-based option. The graph below reflects the services and education provided to enrolled expectant mothers. During visits, parent educators provide prenatal and postpartum information that includes handouts and activities that address fetal development and nutrition, the risk of alcohol, drug, and smoking, labor and delivery, infant care and sleep practices, as well as the benefits of breastfeeding. We currently have 3 breastfeeding mothers, and 2 of our mothers report that their children sleep in a crib on their back nightly. Mental health screenings are also completed with mothers, and there were no referrals based on those screenings this quarter. Excuse me. Now, Trina B, what's happening in Sunrise Pre-K and Nevada Ready programs?
Thank you, Trina. Hello and good morning. My name is Trina Billich and I am the Center Director at the Sunrise Children's Foundation West Center. I'm going to give you a brief snapshot of our private pre-K program and the Nevada Ready program. The Sunrise Children's Foundation private preschool is for children ages 2.5 to 5 years old with or without Urban League and or childcare assistance. Families who do not meet the income eligibility for Urban League or CCA have the option to pay a weekly tuition. This program meets the family and community needs, and it's also a bridge between the Early Head Start program and the Nevada Ready pre-K program. This feeds into our Nevada Ready pre-K program, and the SCF pre-K follows the Head Start ELOF and guiding principles and uses creative curriculum and TSG for monitoring. The graph on the left side, the comparative report for our SCF pre-K program reflects the growth from our baseline data to our winter checkpoint. And this year we began our pre-K transition program, and it's proving to be quite successful. Some of this can be attributed to the flexibility of staffing, in addition to the program being available to our Early Head Start, soon to be turning 3 children who are developmentally ready for this program. While the pre-K program uses the same curriculum and observation assessment tools as Early Head Start classes, it has a larger group size and uses also the Early Head Start and pre-K school readiness ELOP. We had many new to school children enrolled this year and have also had several children of those who are dual language learners. Our teachers are both English and Spanish speaking, and we have seen a lot of growth between our baseline and winter checkpoints. That can attest to the success of using children's home or first language with English, paired with English. And this was our #1 goal for this checkpoint, with our dual language learners paired with the social emotional goals. For our Nevada Ready program, the Sunrise Children's Foundation Nevada Ready pre-K program, on the other hand, is guided by the Nevada Ready Early Childhood Advisory Council and is also overseen by the Southern Nevada United Way. The Nevada Ready pre-K is for children ages 4 to 5 years old who are income eligible, meaning they're below 200% poverty lines. The program grant requires children to attend a minimum of 5 hours per day or 25 hours per week and follows the attendance policy of the local school board, which is Clark County School District. ERSI and or SCF employees are all responsible for the recruitment of this program, as we are required to fill our seats prior to December 1st each year. For Q1, we had 7 children who all were from our private pre-K, SCF private pre-K, who fed into this the first quarter. And we, by the skin of our teeth, thankful to the ERSI department, were enrolled over 10 by the deadline of December 1st, and we were granted an extension due to some of it being COVID related. We also had some staffing struggles, which caused us not to be able to enroll siblings, and that can deter families from joining in the program if they can also bring their other children into the center. So we were working through that. This graph below shows the children meeting and exceeding or above the childhood expectation, widely held childhood expectations. We also have 1 child who has an IEP in this program, and you can see that some of the areas, social, emotional, physical development, and mathematics, which is a higher learning concept, we fell below with the 1 child, and 2 actually, 1 in physical development. So that is what our graph shows. We had some challenges through this quarter, and some of them were COVID related. And due to our time, many of these families work and we're struggling with pickup or do not have transportation. We have 2 families who are homeless who are enrolled, and so we're trying to assist them through family services and ERSI in as many ways as possible. And we're hoping when we extend our hours in January, things that will really help and assist the families as well in childcare. We had some really great successes as well. We designed our family engagement plan that is a yearly plan that's a requirement of the Nevada Ready program, all around increasing our family engagement even more so than we already do. And this is based on a survey that we provide the families 2 or 3 times a year. They all wanted to do less virtual and more face-to-face in person. And we have achieved that goal by safely meeting with them, the teachers and or I meeting with the parents directly to discuss goal setting and successes their children are having in the class they've currently already met with the families twice this school year, which is great. And I know the families really appreciate it. Another great success was a family engagement event that we had provided by PBS, and we had 6 out of our 7 children attended, and they made astronaut spacesuits for their stuffed animals, and they became designers. So they really all enjoyed being on the screen together. I think it was nice to have a interactive thing with the families and parents and children there. The kids really got a kick out of seeing each other on there, and we used all recyclable materials that I had provided that we had been collecting throughout the quarter for them. So it was a great success. We're looking forward to our next one as well. And that is our programs. Thank you very much. And back to you, Tiffany.
Thank you so much, Trina, and everyone that's had an opportunity to share this morning. I am just grateful to stand alongside this amazing team of data collectors, because as you have all learned today, collecting quality data is critical to providing quality services to children and families, and supports our culture of continuous quality professional development and continuous quality improvement. Some of the platforms that you all have seen data on today include Teaching Strategies Gold, Ready Rosie, Child Plus, Core, Parents as Teachers, and Creative Curriculum, just to name a few. If you are a program assistant, a child care partner, program specialist, family advocate, parent educator, specialist, coordinator, or manager, give yourselves a big round of applause. Good job. Thank you for joining session 1 of the 2021-2022 first quarter Data Jam. If this is where your viewing ends today, this team hopes that you will unwrap the gift of retreat this holiday season and that you return in the new year feeling replenished. If you are joining us for session 2, we will now take a 15-minute technology break. So be sure to come back with your thinking caps warmed up and ready to engage. I heard a rumor that there might be a quiz at the end. Just kidding. Have a safe and happy holiday, everyone.
Kathy, you're paused again.
It's really weird. I can see it move.
Yeah, I don't hear anything or see any movement.